Good afternoon, morning, evening, wherever you are in this big old wide world, and welcome to another cold cast. It's your boy Nathanias, and you know what? I realized, man, I've been doing all this streaming, I've been doing all this laddering, been playing all these 1v1s, and I really haven't cast much of anything lately, and not even on my own channels. So I decided to just kind of grab a random replay from a recent StarCraft tournament. I literally could not and will not tell you anything at all about the game that you are about to watch. In the top left of Mothership, we have the orange Terran player, Liquid Clem. I love little panda guy he's got there. And his opponent in the top right, the blue Zerg. You know him as Solar. From Team Falcon. Now, this has been probably one of the more interesting map pool rotations StarCraft 2 has seen in quite a while. Mothership, one of the only 3-player maps we have seen in many moons. A trend started in the last season. We finally broke out of having just those 2-player maps, and I do love to see it. Good classic Terran versus Zerg action. Clem absolutely carrying the banner for Terrans around the world and then some. He's going to be opening with a relatively standard gas timing after his barracks. We'll likely see a Reaper come out. And as far as things go for Solar, nothing crazy. It's a standard hatch first. So this is what I wanted to do. I was like, I'm going to grab a random game. I don't know anything about it. Don't know anything about the time. And we're just going to start casting some games again. And hopefully I can do a good job of capturing some of the magic that these pro players bring you. Because man, oh man, back in the day, WCS, all of that, I do get the itch. I do. And just like in those days, you'll be able to experience my incredible observing as well. I don't know when we got the ability to actually see the player cameras on the minimap there, but that's quite gnarly. I love that. I love that. So Clem's got his Reaper out. We're going to be seeing all of the standard things that we expect as far as going for the poke, but I love this SCV blocking the third base, so just kind of being a little bit annoying for Solar, saying, I want to send my Reaper, check the other third potentially, but also get right up into that natural and begin the harassment process. Any drones here would be cash money, but the other thing that he can do, since that SCV is there, delay the drone from taking the third, even manages to force the extractor, as even though the drone can beat that SCV head-to-head, you don't want to get caught away from the extractor by the Reaper. The Reaper can really ruin your day. So not only is Clem able to come up and kind of just be generally annoying as the second queen comes down there, but don't believe there's energy for a creep tumor yet. So he's just buying as much time as possible. Prevent the Zerg from taking the third. If you play on the ladder and you go for this type of Reaper opening and you don't have that SCV go out, most of the time, you know, that Zerg, they'll be having that drone kind of hide around the third. Sometimes you'll see it tucked behind the minerals, and in this game we get to see a relatively decent delay. Third command center is halfway complete for Clem as he transitions into a Hellion starport setup. That Reaper continues to look for something, but it has no kills. The Reaper has no kills. He's out here though. I mean, he's lifting the rocks. Is he about to? Oh, almost. Don't cheer for him too hard now through the screen. Okay, keep it together. First Hellion is going to go across on its own. Ling speed is done, so the Reaper will not be staying on the map by itself for too much longer. I think even just the one Reaper and one Hellion, that's you just want to be a little bit careful there. That second Hellion is on the approach. The first two did not come out as a pair. Ladies and gentlemen, that is why you always want to make sure you have your wingman with you. So the creep is finally going to start to spread outside of that natural zone, of course. Did go for the inject coming straight down the ramp. Having the bases connected is going to get us to a more normal TvZ phase. Plenty of queens actually finishing up for Solar now, and worth keeping in mind. Since the last time you've heard me talk about a game of StarCraft, they made the queens more expensive, all right? They were watching The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City with me, and they were like, hey, we need people to know that these queens are fancy. And what's the best way to make something fancy other than raising the price without buffing the unit? So here we are. You got a bunch of expensive bitches, and they are going to protect that third base from the Hellions and the Reaper. But Clem is not going to stop there. The Overlord does try to come in for the scout. Banshee is on the way. So if these Hellions and the Reaper can keep the Queens towards the front line, threatening the creep spread, trying to jockey for a position, then perhaps the Banshee can come in and get some damage. So as it approaches the natural, we do have one Spore Crawler in place, but it's not covering the edge of the base. So it does manage to immediately pick up a drone kill. And we look at the Hellions now trying to poke that third once again. Nothing doing. Did he see the hatch? Yes. So he knows about the fourth base. We could see the Banshee rotate around with a couple additional Hellions and try to bring some extra pressure onto that base. But what's happening back home for Clem? Well, the third command center, okay, there it is, just lifting off now, is on its way. So he's got Stim just barely started. We won't be seeing the big bio plays just yet, but ladies and gentlemen, they are on the way. So Banshee is going to cloak up, taking the direct path towards the fourth hatchery, and not really being targeted onto the hatch itself too much. I think Clem just kind of recognizing here with the number of Queens in play, and obviously the Overseer, that detection, don't want to lose those Banshees. In a manner of speaking, he can protect the third base by applying this pressure and staying in Solar's face, but it's just worth keeping in mind there's not a whole lot actually covering his third at home, so if some Lings or anything like that were to run by, he would be in some trouble. This is why you want to make sure you can always see where the Zerg is, where they have their units. You have these two Banshees poking up onto the natural once more. And just give you a little frame of reference, a total of one whole drone has been killed this game. Don't spend it all in one place. Unless, I don't know, maybe you got a bunch of other drones later in the game. We'll find out. We're still in the game, so I'll keep telling you what's happening. The fourth base has finished. We've got a couple of drones headed over there. Zerglings holding it down, and the creep continues to spread. A little bit of harass on those building tumors by Clem. Probably one of my favorite changes in the last 5 years for the game was when they made creep tumors light. Because if you can't kill the Queens and you don't want to run past them, at least it's a little bit easier to poke and harass that creep. There's your extremely Terran biased comment of the day. And now, 1-1 is about to finish up just a little bit before Clem. He's got two medevacs of Marines here. He actually brought a siege tank over to place on the high ground, so he's kind of thinking about staging this, maybe a protracted fight. That's a significant number of Ling Bane in the backside. Armory is only halfway done, so there's no potential for Hellbats to come in and soak any of this damage. He wants to stay by the cliff because the tank is safe here, you know, quote unquote. And he's probably going to let those Hellions die at the start of the fight, but if he drags this out just long enough, he'll have the armory in a few seconds now. We do have the Banshees poking towards the top side. Fifth base is on the way, so not only does he manage to grab a couple of creep tumors, but he is also putting pressure on that base. At the same time, Marines are going to step forward by that fourth. And okay, so Clem it looks like he wanted to go for it, but he's exercising a strong degree of patience. Queens are rotating up to the fifth hatchery. The Banshees are trying to focus it down. He forces the cancel. There it is. So Solar, even though he brings all the Queens up, and unfortunately just not able to complete that fifth base on time. So we've got 3-base Terran versus a 4-base Zerg. We like this economically for the Terran. The 2-2 is on the way. 2-2 has not even started for Solar, so we're thinking about those upgrades. He's actually going into ranged for the Hydras, and we know that that can be strong, but if he's able to keep this position out on the map, I kind of like this spot, the high ground of Mothership. I mean, we don't just talk about it being a 3-player map in terms of where did the other guys spawn, but the geometry here, the geography, the whatever term guy in the comments will say works, okay? So, you know, I already blew it. So when you post your comment on this video, just tell me what word I should have used instead, and we can all live together. So Clem's got a huge spread, tons of Marines outside of this fifth. He is going to try and shut it down once more. He's got the tank staggered. He has a couple Widow Mines out front, but is mostly trying to force the engagement here with a handful of Hellbats, and that first Widow Mine not going to be able to grab too much. The Banelings are all on the north side. Hydra's hitting from the east. I have been disconnected from BattleNet, and he is going to be chased down and pushed away from this base. I loaded a replay. That's incredible. Now targeting down the Banelings on the way home. The Hydras continue to push up. And this is... he's coming up. Okay, some of the Marines that were rallying across are also going to get grabbed. Clem tried to take the center command center. And this is a little bit tricky. There's not too much to actually cover for these Hydralisks yet. You don't want the Marines to be able to get right on them. I say that. He goes for a second stim. All the Marines yellow and orange HP, so Solar feeling like he can actually get the push going, and he will continue to step forward into this. There's a decent amount of Widow Mines that are going to chunk out the front line, but that command center is toast. Banshee coming back. The 2 HP Overseer giving the necessary vision. And we can see still able to maintain the concave. Of course, the units are larger. That's how it works. Widow Mine on the south side, not able to make a dent, but the Banelings trying to stream into the bio. They're not quite making those connections with the Marines. And like I was saying, with this many medevacs, looks like 6 or 7 supporting these Marines, he's at absolutely no problem continuing to push out. Now, we do have to keep in mind, the 5th base was secure during all of that. Solar still had that fort, so this has been Solar's really his first time getting aggressive in this game because it's been nonstop harass. Clem hit him with the Reaper, he followed up with the Hellions, and he has stayed in Solar's face all game long, but we're starting to reach a crucial moment. 2-2 is done for the bio. We only have +2 Carapace for the Lings and the Hydras. It's just the nature of the split unit composition. So he won't be quite punching as well as he has been against the bio in the direct fights. And Clem is going to split himself up a little bit too. Having that 4th command center get shut down is a travesty in this matchup. It's devastating. It's just something typically very difficult to recover from. Now the next 4th base is being built. We do have some Lings sharking around, looking for a potential base, looking for a run-by opportunity. At the same time, a little run-by on the right side. Clem bringing some Marines, supported by 2 of his Widow Mines, to focus down this hatchery, and Solar trying to use a handful of Lings at a time to bait the shot. But Ling does get cleaned up. He gets the run-by back at his base, so this hatchery at the same time gets taken down, and Clem is going to start doing what Clem does best, and he's always trying to pull his opponents apart, use that heavy multitasking and multi-prong attacks to get into position. Now, worth pointing out, the Widow Mines do not have drilling claws, so they reveal themselves after shooting, if that is the kind of thing you like to know. Now, we have the push into that center base. It looks like the 6th expansion, so the 4th and the 6th are taken down. He still has that 5th on the top side, but the drop is still on the right, and it's got a little bit of a choke point that he's working with. Some Liberators will come to really cement the position. And if you're talking about the timer for the Zerg player, I mean, where does the power come back for Solar? His Lurkers, 5 of them are on the way, but we have to keep in mind those Hive upgrades take so long to get out, and they cost a lot. He's getting Adrenal Glands, he's getting the Hydralisk Frenzy ability, he's getting the Lurker range, so it is just all going to be a little bit crazy. First Lurkers are out on the field. Now, keep in mind, they don't have that range upgrade, but if the bio pushes into them, they can still get a lot of damage done. The Baneling's able to make a connection, but this is where the control becomes so important. Drop is going to hit that right side expansion once again with very little health, but the Vipers can be instrumental in holding it down. If you've been playing StarCraft recently, a huge change was that siege tanks can't be pulled by Vipers anymore. Not a really relevant point in this game, however. So the Liberators, they still can be. But this spot is still so awkward to work with. Solar trying to get his way forward through it. And like I was mentioning, that Lurker range upgrade, it has completed. He's now going for his burrow speed upgrade. Lurkers are going to continue to try and hold the position down for him, and this is just one of those tough spots, right? You've got the Terran Bio Army Parade pushing in. You have at the same time +2 attack finally finishing up for these Hydras, and not only is that good for them, but the Lurkers as well, naturally. Ghosts are starting to come out, but there's no position for them to really fall back to. There's nothing for them to hide behind, so they continue to retreat back towards the 3rd base, but in doing so, expose the worker line. There's the Overseers sieging up to give the vision to help spot those ghosts, but some tight snipes from Clem are going to be able to take the Lurkers down. That 3rd base is under a lot of pressure. SCVs are still mining throughout all the chaos. They are not sweating it. We have a parasitic bomb on the medevacs, forcing Clem to split one of them off and boost it back into his own main. So suddenly it is the Zerg trying to go for that parade push. And we see them take that little jump, that leap. It's the same icon as the Zagara Frenzy ability, which nobody watching this video will have ever seen before, but the more you know. Snipe. I don't know if that Queen snipe was necessary, okay? I don't know about that. I'm not sure about that. Hydra's going to dash forward onto that topside expansion once again. The Ghosts behind the bio, able to land a decent amount of steady targeting shots onto the Hydralisk, allowing him to continue to push. Viper comes up towards the front, going to eat the EMP, and that is GG. Clem takes it. If you love this game, give a like. If you hated it, tell me why. And thanks for watching.